Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, we'll take our first big step into SQL by creating our database. Let me quickly give you an overview of the basic concepts, databases, tables, and SQL. What is a database? A database is an organized collection of data so that it can be easily accessed. In other words, we can say a database is simply a structured collection of data that we can store, retrieve, and manage efficiently using SQL. A DBMS software is used to manage these databases. Inside a database, we organize data in tables, just like spreadsheets in Excel. For example, if you would say, imagine a customer database for your store. You could create a table named customers with columns like customer ID, name, email, phone, etc. Now, instead of manually writing down customer details, your database stores everything in a organized format. So there are two different types of databases, relational databases and non-relational databases. A relational database stores data in a table format, whereas a non-relational database it stores in a key value pair. The common relational databases include Oracle, SQL Server, PostgreSQL, MySQL, Teradata, DB2, etc. Whereas the common non-relational databases include MongoDB, CouchDB, Redis, Cassandra, etc. Now, how do we interact with a database? That is where SQL comes in. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Think of SQL as a language you use to talk to the database. If the database is a restaurant, SQL is like the waiter taking and delivering your order. SQL lets you access and manipulate these databases. When I say access and manipulate these databases, I mean using SQL you can execute queries against a database, you can retrieve data, you can insert, you can update or delete records from a database. You can also create new databases, new tables, procedures, and views. I'll come to these procedures and views in our subsequent sessions. Also, using SQL, we can set permissions on tables, procedures, and views like which all users can access these tables, these procedures, views, etc. So SQL follows ANSI and ISO standards. Although SQL is an ANSI ISO standard, there are different versions of the SQL language. However, to be compliant with ANSI standard, all the major RDBMS servers they support at least the major commands like select, update, delete, insert, where, etc. in a similar manner. Clear with the basic concepts. Let's start with coding. We will begin with creating a database. This is the MySQL workbench, the MySQL interface which lets our SQL queries talk to the database. This is the home page, and if you could see here, there is a connection interface. MySQL prompts us to which server we want to connect to. We can create a connection to any MySQL server and access its databases and objects. For this tutorial, we will be connecting to our local. This is the interface of MySQL. It is a bit intimidating, but it is not that complex. On the top, we have this toolbar, which has the option for creating a new tab to write SQL queries, open an existing SQL script file in a new tab, creating tables, databases, etc. On the left-hand side, we have these two tabs, Administration and Schemas. In the Administration tab, we perform admin activities like starting the server, stopping the server, importing or exporting data from the server, etc. Schemas tab shows the databases we have in our current database server. Currently, we have only one database, SYS. This is a database which MySQL uses internally to do its work. In the middle, we have got this query editor window. This is where we write and execute our queries. Now, to create the databases for this course, download the file attached below in this video. This file contains all the SQL code needed to create the databases. Let us open this SQL file. So this is an example of the SQL code. Well, this may look complex at the beginning, but trust me, as you go through the course, you're going to understand exactly how everything works here. By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to write SQL code like this. So you want to execute this to create all the databases for the course. What you need to do is click on this icon, the yellow icon, right here in the toolbar. This will execute either the selection or the entire code if there is nothing selected. For example, if I select this line here and click on this icon, this will execute only this line. In this case, we want to execute the entire code, so we are not going to select anything. We will just execute it. Now here down at the bottom, there is a panel called the output window. It shows all the operations performed in our database server. So in our case, we can see all the operations has completed successfully. We have a green tick mark next to each operation. So with this output window, we can see if all the operations has completed successfully or there were some errors, etc. Now on the left hand side in the schemas tab, we don't see the new databases. So let us just refresh this views. Okay, now we have got all the databases and we can see they are prefixed with SQL or SQL. I decided to prefix them with SQL so that we know that these are the databases which we are going to use in our course. Now, as an example, let us explore these databases. Let us expand the SQL store database. If you could see here, in every database we have these objects. We have tables. This is where we store our data. We have views, which are kind of like virtual tables. So we can combine data from multiple tables and put them in a view. And this is especially powerful for creating reports. We will be learning about them in future. You also have stored procedures and functions, and these are like little programs that we store inside our database for querying data. For example, you can have a stored procedure for getting all the customers in a given city. So we can call that procedure and tell, give me all the customers in Mumbai. It will return all the customers in Mumbai. So let us expand the tables. So these are the tables which are present in this database. We have customers, we have orders, products, shippers, and so on. Let us select this customer table. We can see three items on the right side. Click on the rightmost icon which looks like a table. With this icon, we can see all the data in this table. So this is our customers table. In this table, we have columns like customer ID, which we use to uniquely identify our customers. Then we have first name, last name, birth date, phone, address, and so on. So these are the columns in this table, and every row is a record. Every row here represents one customer, and these are the pieces of information we know for each customer. Let us explore another table. Let's open the orders table. In this table, we have these columns like order ID, customer ID, order date, status, and so on. So what is this customer ID here? We use this column to identify who has placed each order. Now, what is interesting here is you have referred to the customer using customer ID, which uniquely identifies that. In other words, if Rahul has placed an order, we don't store Rahul Rajan here. We only store Rahul's customer ID. Why is that? Here is the reason. It might be possible that Rahul might have placed multiple orders in our system. Now, every time Rahul places his order, we need to look up his address and phone to ship his order. Now, it might be possible that some of this information might change in the future. Rahul might go to a new place or might change his phone number or might even change his name. So if you repeat all the information next to each order, you will have to come back again and again and make changes at multiple places. So in contrast with this design, we only store the ID of Rahul here, and anytime we want to make any changes, we go to the customer table and make the changes there. Now let us go back to our customer tables and look at the customer with ID 6. For ID 6, we have a customer named Maya. This is her phone number, this is her address. So if any information about Maya changes in the future, this is the only place that we need to modify. So this is how these databases work. We refer to these databases as relational databases. That means in these kind of databases, we have multiple tables that are related to each other using a relationship. So internally, there is a relationship between the customers table and the orders table. So the customer ID column in the customers table is related or linked or associated with the customer ID column. In the orders table, we have this customer ID column. So we relate the customer table with the order table using customer ID. So this was a brief introduction to relational databases. You have learned about databases, tables, columns, rows, and relationships. So let's have a quick recap. Whenever we want to create any object, we use the SQL create command. Create statement is used to create databases, tables, indexes, views, stored procedures, functions, etc. Syntax for creating a database is create database, database name. Here, create and database are keywords. In SQL interface, usually keywords are highlighted in blue color. Similarly, if we want to create a table, the syntax would be create table name followed by column 1, its data type, comma, column 2, its data type, and so on. So in this example, we are creating a table customers with column customer ID, last name, first name, address, and city. And we specify the data type for each column. In the next section, I'm going to show you how to retrieve data from a single table in this database.